Joe Rogan and Sean Baker, Dr. Sean Baker, the carnivore. Now, we are talking about the government. So Joe Rogan starts and they're talking about, left or right leanings and what happens when you're branded as right or branded as left. Then they start talking about who's going to run for president. Is it going to be, I'll leave that for the clip, but they start talking about that. Then they start talking about Mar-a-Lago, and you can't talk about Mar-a-Lago without talking about a certain president-elect, former president, the Big 45. They bring him up, and I have some clips for you after. I have one clip where this gentleman, Joe Scarborough, is talking about Donald Trump. It's a wild clip, and I want you to stay till the end so you can see it. Do not miss that clip. Let's get into the Joe Rogan clip right now, though. Let's go.
I saw I know you've had Elon Musk on several times. I know he said look, I was a middle of the road dude, and that's me too. I was like, I'm just kind of middle, let people live. I'm not political one way or the other. And all of a sudden the whole spectrum just shifts way over. And it's like, if you're not promoting like craziness, you're all of a sudden you're
a far right person,
racist, crazy person.
I've always been left wing, which is really crazy. But the left moved so far away from what the left used to be.
And now you're a fascist.
Now I'm an alt-right influencer. Yeah, I've seen people label me as an alt-right person. I'm like, that is so wild that they can do that with a straight face. Because I've said, hey, maybe we should look into universal basic income. Maybe we should look into universal health care. I think education should be free. I think we should subsidize the schools, and we should fix the roads, and we should fucking fix inner cities, and we should, if you're going to use tax dollars, and if I thought my tax dollars were being used very appropriately in that way, I'd be 100% in favor of all that stuff. If I thought it really was an overall benefit to society. The problem is bureaucracy and big government is insanely inefficient. Like if you were talking about, if there was some sort of private industry, and the private industry only profited if something was successful, and they got involved in these particular activities, if they got involved in education, if they got involved in dietary health, and the only way they were profitable is if their methods were effective because there's a free market, that would probably work. But when you get the government involved, all it does is make the government employees more wealthy, it makes the government larger, and it makes them protect that industry. We covered that with the homeless thing in California. If you're not aware, there's people that are working on the homeless. There's like a shitload of them. And some of them are making $250,000 a year. And they are not putting a fucking dent in it. They're not effective at all. In fact, the only thing that I saw that was effective at all in stopping the tents and the homeless situation was when Xi Jinping visited San Francisco. They fucking cleaned it up like that. Like, you could have done this the whole time.
What do they do to those people? Where do they put those people, you think?
I don't know, but what are they going to do now? Now that Xi Jinping is gone, are they going to take down the fences and let people camp again? Like, you showed that the overall quality of life of the people that live in that city is not important to you. What's important is the view, the optics, when a fucking dictator comes and visits, which is so wild.
Yeah, I saw, the governor, Gavin Newsom. Do you think I think he's going to run for, I'm just wondering, I try not to get political, but I'm just like, what's going to happen in the next election? I mean, is Biden even going to be able to run?
I think at this point they kind of have to run him unless he dies. We have 1 year now. We're in November. We're in late November. We have less than a year. Like, what are they going to do? I mean, you could, look, if Biden died tomorrow, and then what do they do with Kamala Harris? They're going to put her on the moon? Like, what are they going to do? She's the vice president. So if he dies, she becomes the president, which is fucking wild when you hear that lady talk.
But what if like Biden says, like in, I don't know, May, he says, I'm just not feeling up to it. And then they say Kamala's now the president. She's the first female president. And then she steps down at the convention and they said, well, let's give it to Newsom. I mean, do you think that's a plausible scenario?
Is possible, but it would be a real problem for people that are Kamala Harris supporters. And believe it or not, they exist.
Yeah, but I'm sure the Democratic Party is just like calculating
have to be.
How big is this and what's the thing?
I think they have fucking no cards, and they're looking at this game, and I don't know. I think they're depending upon party loyalty, and they're depending upon Trump getting convicted and arrested. I mean, and imprisoned rather. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't think it is. It doesn't seem. It just seems like it's a bunch of trumped up charges. No pun intended.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a political commentator. I'm not an expert. It does seem like really like, why are they going after him so hard right now when they could have done it, like the hotel thing or the valuation of the property from 20 years ago?
It's bananas. Right. The valuation of the property is so obvious, so off what it should be. $18 million for Mar-a-Lago, I'd fucking buy it. I'd fucking buy it immediately. If that shit was $18 million and you were the only one that was able to buy it, you'd be a fool not to scoop it up because you could sell it right away. You could get a loan and you could sell that bitch right away for who knows how much. I mean, I think Forbes valued it I think it was like well over 700 million.
Wow.
And Trump thinks it's worth over $1 billion. And he might be right. That's what's crazy. It's a giant piece of property in one of the most valuable pieces of land in all of America. I mean, a house next to him down the street, a much smaller place, sold for 50.
Yeah, so it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make it does make sense if you want to look at banana republic tactics.
Yeah,
I mean, when you're imprisoning and trying to convict your political opponents, which is the problem with that is, even if you think Donald Trump is a crook, even if you think that he should be arrested, this sets a precedent for future presidents. If we get someone who is not just Donald Trump, who has a lot of people in the center that say, hey, his economic policies were effective, his foreign policies were effective, even if I think he's a jerk, maybe that would be better to have a jerk run the country in a way that's better overall than what's being done right now. Even if you looked at that, what if someone further right than him steps in? What if a war breaks out? What if things get even crazier? What if nationalism really upticks? Then you have someone who is now in power that is far right, like has happened all over the world. If that happens, and that person, if that precedent has been set for prosecuting your political opponents and going after them with trumped up charges, we have a horrible situation. And that's one of the reasons why we have to stick with the rule of law. We have to stick with the way this country was founded on. These principles were set up because they wanted to mitigate corruption at its base level at every step of the way. They wanted to stretch it out so no one could be an authoritarian dictator and run America.
Yeah, because you talk about the
Very well said. Very, very well said. And here's the funny thing. This is why I wanted to play this clip that I'm going to play for you guys right now. Is right now, Trump has been, indicted. He's being prosecuted, arraigned in court, all of these things. He has jail time in front of him if he's convicted. It's hundreds of years if he's convicted on everything. And the mainstream or the left, whatever you want to call it, one and the same nowadays, is completely worried that he might do just that to them. And that's exactly what Joe's talking about, setting that precedent. So they went and did this on some, as Joe said, with the no pun intended, trumped up charges. And now they're afraid that Trump might do it to them. And in another episode of JRE, someone was saying that you will get into a state, if you're at this point where you want to lock this guy up, if he wins, doesn't get locked up, that's terrible if you're the one trying to lock him up. So now you're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that you don't lose power, to make sure that he ends up in jail. And that gives way for a very tainted system. And now you can see that they're feeling that exact way. And I'm going to play this clip for you. This guy is crazy. What he has to say. Man, talk about projecting. Here you go. Joe Scarborough.
Formal candidate. He is running to end American democracy as we know it. He's an authoritarian. If you want to be fair, then you will frame this as Joe Biden being the candidate that supports American democracy, and Donald Trump, a candidate who supports a new form of government here that's authoritarian. It's really that simple. And by the way, Reverend Al, when people go, oh, you can't compare him to past Nazi leaders, you can't compare him to this past Nazi leader or that past fascist leader, because he hasn't done that. Well, what hasn't he done? He hasn't done the things that the American judicial system did not allow him to do last time, but may very well allow him to do this time. Just because he hasn't done it yet doesn't mean he won't do it when he gets a chance to do it. And if he is voted into office, then a lot of these people that are talking about literal or figurative or whatever the hell they're saying, you're going to look like idiots because he will get away with, he will imprison, he will execute whoever he's allowed to imprison, execute, drive from the country.
You don't think he would be sitting in the White House if he were given the chance and watch his critics, his opponents being arraigned in court, eating popcorn, enjoying it? That's who he is.
A historian 50 years from now, if historians are allowed to write in this country, and if there are still free publishing houses and a free press, which I'm not certain of, but if that is true, a historian will say what was at stake tonight and this week was the fact whether we will be a democracy in the future, whether our children will be arrested and conceivably killed. We're on the edge of a brutal authoritarian system, and it could be a week away.
The Republicans, in terms of their network.
And it could be a week away. What is he talking about? Oh, I got a full card on the screen. Did you guys see that? I don't think you did. Oh, because I got a brand new camera. Well, how wild is that? That they're talking about possibly him, like Al Sharpton. He's like, oh, listen. I don't even know if that was Al Sharpton. It's one of those guys that has done nothing for the black community in 60 years. Watched MLK just pass away. Did nothing. He's like, you think he wouldn't be sitting and eating popcorn, enjoying it, locking people out, his political opponents? He's like, I know he would. Me and Joe were doing that just the other day. The popcorn's still warm. And I want to keep eating popcorn, guys. We can't let this happen. Absolutely ridiculous. Talking about Trump executing people. Obviously, he's not going to execute people. And we also have Michael Cohen. He's saying the same thing. Joe Scarborough just off the deep end, saying he's going to execute people. He's going to lock people up. This is the sign of people that are scared. They know that they've been a part of something that was completely wrong, that was undemocratic, that was un-American, and now they're afraid. They're very afraid. What's going to happen if he gets in office? What is he going to do to me? I've been spouting all of this stuff for so long. Is he going to do something to me? This, what you're seeing, what you just saw on that screen, that was power. Like, I need the power. We need to keep the power. We need to go into overdrive right now. We have less than a year. We don't know what we're going to do. It seems like he's going to win. Michael Cohen saying the exact same type of thing. He's saying a vote for Trump is a vote for the end of democracy. I personally don't want to be around. I don't want anybody telling me, as they're already doing right now, what you can and can't do in your bedroom. I don't want them saying who I can and can't vote for. All of a sudden, you're going to have someone knock on your door, and it's going to be Trump's brown shirts pulling you out and sending you to Guantanamo Bay. Hey, man, is that what's going to happen to us, or is that what's going to happen to you? Don't throw all of us into this mix. I don't know. I wasn't doing anything unconstitutional. Were you? It wasn't me. I don't know. Maybe it's just the people who did unconstitutional things, who colluded against. I'm not even going to get into it, but you know what I mean. And he thinks he's going to get thrown into Guantanamo Bay. That was somebody who flipped on Trump and was willing to testify against Trump in the indictments, and now, of course, testified against Trump. Now he's scared. What's going to happen to me? Now you're seeing people fight. They're clinging for the power. And it's not even really funny, because now you have to do something that is, for lack of a better word, I'll say, you'll have to do something that lacks integrity. You'll have to now. You have no choice, because you're scared. And if the guy you were just going at gets in power, you don't know what's going to happen to you. So now you have to tell people that a vote for him is a vote against democracy. A vote for him is going to have everybody thrown in Guantanamo Bay. Why is he going to throw us all in Guantanamo Bay? Like I just said, I didn't do anything. Did you do anything? But again, it's not even good that now he feels like he has to do that, because if he gets in the office and now he's doing it, it's still bad. Depending on what evidence he finds. I don't know. But again, it's still bad. It sets a bad precedent, because now what's going to happen? Another person is going to get in office. Now they're going to lock up some people, and it's just going to be a continuous lock-up fest. And every single politician is going to be in jail. Never mind. They might be on to something. I'm kidding, of course. But let me know what you think in the comments about what Joe Scarborough said, the gentleman who was experiencing a little bit of he's having a little bit of a conniption, worried that he's going to be executed. I don't think that's going to happen to him. I know he has said some horrible things about Trump, but I don't think it warrants anything happening to his safety, and I don't think it should. I don't think anything should happen to these people. I think what everybody wants is a fair election, and whoever wins to be in office, and then to support that president. I think that's what everybody wants every single time. And for some reason, now there's one side of the government that's completely saying that that's not going to happen. Oh, it's going to be terrible. Oh, it's going to be terrible. I don't know. I think it's going to be terrible for them because they're not going to be in power anymore. I mean, let's call it how it is. I mean, Trump said the same thing. It's terrible because he's not in power. And there's a bit of proof that it is. But at the same time, he's saying it because he's not in power. You just don't want to set these precedents of people getting locked up. I was kidding before. Every politician in jail. Yeah, that's a fun idea. But eventually, one of you will have to be a politician. Then you'll get locked up just effortlessly. We don't want that type of thing. That's what other countries do. That's what other countries do. That's what third world countries do. They do it like clockwork. It ends up really bad, and people end up getting disappeared. Nobody wants that. You don't really want to live in a place that's like that, even if it's to your benefit at the time, because eventually it won't be to your benefit. And eventually the censorship or the overreach will get so severe that you'll be in breach of it, and then you'll disappear. So I don't think anybody wants that. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Maybe Joe Scarborough's right. Maybe you'll set me straight. But either way, like, subscribe, and hit up IamCoachColin.com. We have all sorts of incredible anti-establishment merch. And other than that, I'm out.